a tremendous effort to be here, and you can stay seated if you want, is Amanda Kulaba, and she is from the Lawhorn Elementary School, teaches arts to the 2nd through 5th grade, and that's in the Tupelo School District, and she's an emerging leader from ASCD, and she might be a little slow today, but she's amazing, empowering, and inspiring, and I'm proud to have a chance to introduce her, not just to y'all, but to the rest of the board, and let's learn from her. Thank you.
A few weeks ago, I attended a rally on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. It was the Save Our Schools rally, and we marched from the Lincoln Memorial to the White House. Many education activists made speeches at the rally that were incredibly inspiring. The week before that, I was able to attend the National Education Association's Representatives Assembly, where I heard the NEA president give an opening speech. I am not a dynamic speaker like those great activists, but I do have a similar passion, and I'm willing to stand here and make an attempt at inspiring you with that same passion the way they did me. You see, I'm not magically smart and tough and brave to be speaking here today. In fact, standing here makes me uncomfortable. But I've come to the realization that this is what it's going to take for us to change all of those problems that we're complaining about behind closed doors. We're going to have to allow ourselves to be a little bit uncomfortable. We may fear attention and conflict and even reprisal when we make our voices heard. But we must remember that some of America's greatest leaders were also reluctant. Just think about all of those people that mustered up the courage to stand on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. Where would we be without them? It's in that spirit that I'm here today. Teachers, we cannot keep waiting for positive change. We're witnessing an attack on public education in this country and in this state. And to me, this means that we are witnessing an attack on our values, our integrity, our livelihoods, our students, our communities, and even our democracy. For instance, just in case you haven't been following the news, we have policies in place that have the potential to resegregate our schools and drain valuable resources from our traditional public schools. We have harsh accountability measures in place that erode the public's faith in our ability to teach our youth. It narrows the curriculum to the point where our students become professional test takers instead of thinkers, artists, poets, or scientists. We cannot keep waiting for things to get better on their own, because things are not going to get better on their own. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. It's up to us. The toughest part of teaching for me has been filtering away from my students the negativity in the cultures surrounding public schools. I'm talking about the negativity you hear from policymakers or certain policymakers and the media. Sometimes it feels like all you ever hear about public schools and the media is how lazy the teachers are, how much money it costs to educate students, and how low the test scores are. This hurts me on a personal level because I'm a teacher deep down to my very marrow. Like, I teach from the deepest part of who I am as a human being. But this personal hurt is nothing compared to the way I feel about what I see it do to students. Our students are internalizing that negativity, and I know it and you know it. So on the one hand, they get the message that they shouldn't respect their teachers because the people in power don't respect them. On the other hand, the message is that their teachers in schools are abysmal failures, so they must be abysmal failures themselves. How do you think they feel when they've tried their hardest to learn and perform on a test, and their school gets a low accountability rating. I can't imagine that they feel much better than we do when that happens. I'm a teacher, and I have to look into the faces of those students every single day, just like you do. The people who are putting this negativity out into the culture don't have to look into their faces. So for me, trying to remain positive while working with my students in the midst of this negativity is tough. I deal with this by being an activist. At some point, I just started seeking out opportunities to make my voice heard. I guess I just got fed up. So I started showing up, and I started writing, and I started speaking out. And I started allowing my reluctant self to be uncomfortable. I don't think I know everything, but I want to be part of the discussions taking place. I want to model for my students what it looks like to stand up for others and to participate in a democracy. Before I began using my voice, which is my right as a citizen in this country, I felt very much like it was hopeless to try to change the conversation around public schools. But now I feel like I'm doing something worthwhile. It feels good to know that I'm modeling what I expect out of my students. And I expect good citizenship from them, and I expect them to stand up for themselves and others. So by being an activist, I'm able to have hope for the future of this profession and for our schools. And this is how I deal with what I described as being the toughest part of my job. So today, I stand here with my own frustrations and fear and in a completely uncomfortable state. And I'm standing here with my own internal reluctance to speaking out, or my reluctance to being an activist. But I stand here with great hope because of what I want for my students and the future of the people who live in this state and this country. I stand here in hopes of inspiring you all to get involved, to be active, to participate in this democracy. You don't have to see yourself as a leader or think you're particularly brave or courageous. You just have to participate. You have to pay attention, you have to show up, and use your voice. Because we can have a large-scale positive impact if we do it together. We cannot, however, continue to wait, because we are the greatest force of good in this world. We are the ones we've been waiting for. So now you guys are in for a treat. The next speaker is one of the most active